In this section, we're going to be starting to take a closer look at the rise of Rome from an archaic state through its republic stage onto the stage when it was became an empire. And we'll be working through some of the key elements in terms of Rome's societal power, its organizational structure that's going to give it great stability. We're also going to take a look at what I'm terming their organizational genius in terms of architecture and public services and government. We'll be talking about various of those ideas. We'll also spend some time looking more specifically at some of their law codes. We had used law codes earlier in Mesopotamia, for example, with Hammurabi, and we'll get back to taking a look at some of the ideas of what those law codes show us about the society and how it functioned. We'll also take a look at what could be called the Punic Wars. These are three major wars that the Romans went into in the time frame listed here. They, in many ways, really dramatically shape Rome and make it go from being a relatively small republic into a very large multinational empire as they aggressively expand all around the Mediterranean Sea, and in the process have to find a way to deal with the peoples they conquer and find out ways to provide security. We'll also go and take a look at some of the social and economic trends within Rome and Roman society. What are the kind of things that are happening there in terms of government finance and taxation, but also social developments regarding the family and how that functions in society. We'll also start to take a look at what we're going to term the decline of the Republic, that many of the ideas and concepts that we had built upon in Rome will start to fail, and that there's going to need to be things to replace them as the state changes. One of the key areas we'll look to provide some idea about change is we'll look at the career of Octavian, who is later on going to be known as Caesar Augustus, right? We'll talk about the transformation of him and the accumulation of titles that are going to go with him so that he is going to be a prime example of moving Rome from the last legacy of its republic stage into an open empire stage. We'll then also talk about one of the key challenges the Roman Empire will face, where they have rather aggressive and hostile frontier peoples who are looking at some of the wealth and stability of Rome and are very covetous of it and are going to be looking at raiding it at various times. And sometimes the Romans will be able to deal with those raids of outside peoples. Sometimes they will invite them into the empire. We'll be looking at that transformation. And in the process of that, we'll see Rome being very much changed. We'll also take a look at the rise of two famous emperors. One is Diocletian and the other one is Constantine. These are two very vital emperors in understanding the late empire and how they are going to try and reorganize it and restructure it, and that in many ways they are going to at least pull the empire back together, but it's not going to be able to be holding out against the peoples on the various empires' frontiers. We'll also take a look at one of the classic things that is going to be a real game changer, so to speak, in the late Roman Empire, and that will be the rise on part of the evasions, but also the rise and challenges of Christianity as a separate monotheistic faith that in many ways is not going to be compatible with the Roman understanding of public ritualistic religion. And we will close this section at the very end of the Roman Empire with the ideas of two key religious thinkers within the Christian movement, Saints Jerome and Augustine of Hippo, and their impact on what is going to come as the next early Middle Ages.